Hi, I'm Gregor Smith, Global Head of Advertising Sales for SmartFrame Technologies. We were founded in 2015 and SmartFrame Technologies is a London-based software provider that's redefining the digital image standard. We developed a new cookieless contextual targeting solution that relies on metadata and AI as opposed to AI alone, which can often be inaccurate in terms of determining what the image is about. SmartFrame is revolutionising ad tech with an image contextual advertising solution that provides unrivaled targeting accuracy, robust brand safety, premium ad placement, image piracy prevention, along with boosted engagement and ROI. We've developed the world's first and largest image streaming network with content partners including Getty Images, and we stream these images which enable the placement of high definition images and interactive zoom features. We really see at SmartFrame 2022 being a big challenge, most challenging year for ad tech. A lot of policy and structural change. There's a lot of debate in the industry about the demise of the cookie and what the future will look like without them. What is certain is it's inevitable that it'll affect ad tech's ability to target, measure and report on digital advertising. This could be a good thing, but you could also argue it forces the industry to look at ways to target that by their very nature provide more relevant and compelling advertising, such as focus on more first-party data collection. And contextual targeting provides more compelling and less disruptive advertising. We'll see in the very near future there'll be a clear winner in terms of which approach works. Against the cookie-geddon backdrop, many point to contextual targeting as one of the key ways forward. As a result, the global market for contextual advertising, at the moment 157 million, is estimated to go to 357 million in 2026. Contextual targeting has many benefits. We see it as obviously cookieless targeting, privacy compliant, brand safety, as well as the greater engagement and return on investment. One of the tools that came as a result of Google's Privacy Sandbox initiative is called Federated Learning of Cohorts, FLOC, or FLOC. This worked by grouping people into cohorts for the purpose of ad targeting. The response to this was negative from many other browser providers, privacy groups and others, some of whom questioned its compliance with regulations such as GDPR. Ostensibly as a result of this reaction, Google ceased the development of FLOC in 2021 and announced that this would be replaced by a new tool called Topics. And Topics works by using browsing history to determine a number of subjects that someone is likely to be interested in. So these are kept for a period of 3 weeks and shared with participating sites and their advertising partners to use as a basis for targeting. Users can view the topics they've been assigned and delete any of these if they want to. Topics is still a work in progress and there is potential for it to follow FLOC and finding little support outside of Chrome and the Google ecosystem. So interestingly, while it appears as a way to target users with relevant ads, while maintaining their privacy, Google's set to allow users to opt out of this entirely if they wish. Google's positioned this as a more trustworthy alternative to cookie-based advertising and a preferable option to other methods that could potentially fill the void, such as fingerprinting. So one issue with third-party cookies is the fact that different ad tech companies cannot read each other's cookies. One ad company may assign a user a unique ID under which to store the information they collect about them, and another may do the same under a different ID. So the principle of cookie syncing aims to identify a match and share information with different parties in the ad tech system to establish a better idea of who that person is. The more information you have about a user, the better informed you are when it comes to determining whether or not to bid for their attention. On the other hand, this syncing consumes bandwidth and can affect page load speeds and user experience. There's also potential for user details to be lost in the process. So what we're seeing is universal IDs will address these issues, while there are a number of these IDs currently vying for widespread adoption. The idea behind them is that the process of logging into a website with an identifier, typically an email address, but could be a phone number as well, creates a standardized anonymized ID token based on this identifier. To increase the privacy, this identifier is encrypted with arbitrary information added with a hashtag process. And this ID is refreshed over time as an additional security measure. As a user is assigned a specific identifier linked to their email address, universal IDs can be then used to sync across different browsers and devices that may not normally be talking to each other. Proponents also say that it should make it easier for companies other than Google and Facebook, who are still taking 80 cents in the dollar of all digital ad spend. On the top of the uncertainty around which specific universal IDs will end up being adopted, questions remain on how effective this will be should a user not consent to it. And on the principle of cross-site tracking and the potential inclusion of probabilistic data, some of these IDs, such as fingerprinting, is not necessarily supported and a key determining whether they gain traction. So fingerprinting describes a collection of techniques that can be used to identify individuals from information they may not be aware they are sharing through the browsers. It exploits the small differences between different computers or mobile devices, which can include a user's browser hardware, time zone, cookie settings, and even the fonts they've enabled. The more information that is available and the more that this differs from a default configuration, the higher the chance of being able to identify an individual, and with it the ability to track them across sites. When you consider that around 80 to 90% of fingerprints are estimated to be unique, the appeal of collating this kind of information means it's obvious. But what's particularly concerning about fingerprinting is that it's considerably more invasive than cookie-based tracking. While there are legitimate reasons for employing fingerprinting, such as fraud protection, the average user is unlikely to be aware of the extent of information that's being collected, as well as exactly who is collecting this and for what purpose. For that reason, it is easy to abuse, particularly when this information is matched with information obtained by other means that can reveal even more about a particular user. And its use is widespread too. So in 2020, we saw research that showed 10% of websites in Alexa's top 100,000 were using this, a figure that rose to a quarter when the top 10,000 sites were analysed. The future of fingerprinting is somewhat unclear. While it's not as widely understood by the average user as third-party cookies, the threats these pose have been understood for some time by more tech-savvy users and browser providers, and as a result, various browser extensions have been developed to help combat this. Many browsers, including Firefox, Chrome, Opera, Brave, and indeed the Tor browser, have some kind of options built in to help defeat this too. The effectiveness of these varies, however, and the reliance of some of these options on lists of known fingerprint collecting sites leaves open the possibility of other sites slipping through the net. So with the end of third-party cookies looming in 2023, which is when it kicks in with Google, advertisers naturally shifting focus from impressions and clicks, with attention coming to the fore as the key metric to consider in the coming year. So if you think about the digital world, distractions are everywhere. So when measuring connection with an audience, attention is the new currency. Context is king in this arena, as content owners and publishers can match their content with the situation of a viewer, creating a highly compelling offering for consumers. So in 2022, we see contextual advertising as being the superpower to help advertisers tap into that coveted consumer attention span. As well as a state of mind or mood, the connection that audiences experience is naturally stronger. This we see as critical to building a longer-term strategy that focuses on developing valuable brand relationships. That's a good question. So we see AI-based image recognition as being sophisticated enough now to give us an idea of an image's subject, but even the most advanced systems can only do so much. So SmartFrame's unique relationships with the image content libraries, such as the Getty, such as Adobe, allow us to access comprehensive metadata sets. And it's this metadata that is really one of our USPs and is key to the SmartFrame offering. So what does that mean? So in a sporting image, for example, this kind of information may include the name of a specific player, the location in which a game is being played, and even the specific game itself, as well as the teams involved. Combining this level of information with anonymized user location and device information creates a highly informed foundation for contextual ad targeting. Since GDPR's introduction in 2018, there's been a wave of consumer and policymaker advocacy for better online privacy. This does not look to be slowing down. So with other countries following suit, you've got the CCPA on the west coast of USA, PDPA in Thailand, and even more countries will soon follow. The policymakers are taking it very seriously. Many enterprise companies are following foul of the legislation. So in the last 12 to 18 months, we've seen Amazon fined $877 million. WhatsApp have been fined $255 million. So these are big numbers. And we really see this necessitating an ad tech-wide privacy first approach.